Hi, it's Matt Moran with the IT Career Toolkit, and this is episode number 12, I think. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. It's an early morning update, and so I want to talk about the experience this weekend and kind of ask a question of you. So this weekend, Beck and I went over to Ikea Furniture, and we're doing a little bit of shopping there, and at the end we decided to grab a hot dog and ice cream cone, and we went up to the counter, and we wanted the ice cream cone, wanted to pay for it, and just pick it up after. I didn't want to come back and do a second transaction. So we ordered our food, and I said, I'll also add a couple of your yogurt, frozen yogurt cones on that, and we'll pick it up after we eat. We're going to sit over here, and once we're done, we'll come pick those up. And the response from the host was interesting. She kind of rolled her eyes and shrugged her shoulders, didn't say a word, didn't say okay, charged me for, the price was for both the food and the cones. I could determine that. So I paid, and we got our food, and we walked away, and we went over to the table, and I turned to Becky and said, did that interaction seem odd to you? And she agreed that it wasn't that it was even rude, it was that we were just kind of an afterthought. That's how it felt. And a few minutes later, a manager walked by, and he turned to the people at the counter, and they all smiled and said, hello, how are you doing? And they had some interaction, and Becky said, well, at least now they're smiling. And I said, yeah, that's interesting. So I thought about it for a moment. I said, I think I should say something. So I tracked down that same manager that had walked by, and we spoke for a while, and I told him, what I had experienced. And he said, well, that's not okay. Clearly, we need to have a conversation with them about that. And I said, yeah, I'm not trying to, it wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of an odd thing. And maybe it was just one moment in time that seemed that way, that seemed like they were disinterested in me as a customer. And I went back over to immediately following that, to go get the yogurts. We were finished eating. And I walked up, and a lady came to help me. It was a different lady, and I said, oh, we've already paid for our yogurts. She helped us. I pointed at the woman who helped us, and I said, we just need to pick up our cones. We already paid for them. And she turned to the girl, and the girl once again kind of rolled her eyes. Yeah, that's them, and they got the cones, and the girl came to present them to me, and she turned around, was talking to somebody, and just kind of stuck her hand out like this. Let's just say this was the cones, and she had them in one hand, and she turned to me and went like this. And she was looking back. She was looking back at one of her coworkers that was talking to her, and so was kind of handing this out to me. Never looked at me, and I grabbed the cones and turned and walked away, and once again, Becky was there, and she looked at me and said, okay, that was really odd. And so it just struck me as interesting that they were largely disengaged from us as customers. And so this is my question to you, whether you're in a career or you're a consultant. Are you engaged with your clients, or are you engaged with your employer? Here's one thing I can tell you is, yeah, they're food servers just working a minimum wage job or something similar to that, and maybe they're just going to school, but it's not up to your job to make you engage. It's not up to your employer. It's not up to your client. It's up to you to be engaged regardless of the task you're doing. And so my advice would be to determine, are you engaged? Are you engaged with your clients? Are you engaged with your customers? Are you engaged at your employer, at whatever job it is? It's a critical piece to building a dynamic and thriving career. So think about that. Love to get your feedback. Thanks.